Let's play a lightning round game. I'm going to be the bad guy, which I'm sure half the room would agree with anyway. And I want to get away with as much bad things as possible, ideally to enrich myself and advance my interest, even if that means putting my interests ahead of the American people. So, if I want to run a campaign that is entirely funded by corporate political action committees, is there anything that legally prevents me from doing that?
No.
So let's say I'm a really, really bad guy, and let's say I have some skeletons in my closet that I need to cover up so that I can get elected. Mr. Smith, is it true that you wrote this article, this opinion piece for the Washington Post entitled, "These payments to women were unseemly, that doesn't mean they were illegal"?
Well, I can't see the piece, but I wrote a piece under that headline in the Post, so I assume that's right.
Okay, great. So, green light for hush money. I can do all sorts of terrible things. It's totally legal right now for me to pay people off.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Talk Headlines series. I'm your host, Jay, and this is The Objective. Thanks so much for tuning in to episode 7 of season 2 of the Let's Talk Headlines series. I'm happy always to have you guys here. Thanks for stopping by. I want you guys to pay attention to this shirt, Political Storm. Check out the website at www.politicalstorm.com. You can get yourself a t-shirt like this. They come in different colors, black, red, white, whatever you need. They got it there. So not only can you get awesome t-shirts like this, to show your support for independent media at politicalstorm.com, but you can also see some of my content, and you can see content of a bunch of other contributors who have different points of view, some of them have the same points of view. So it's a great thing to celebrate independent media, and that's what we do at Political Storm. So definitely give us some support, show your support, visit the page, share some of the articles, some videos, whatever you can do. We do truly appreciate that. Before we get into the episode today, which I think is crazy. Most of my episodes I think are crazy though. I have plans. Out here, the weather's still kind of cold, but when things warm up, I'm still waiting for a few things in the mail. But when things warm up, I have a plan that includes this. Maybe you guys can think of what I'm thinking, but I have plans of doing my podcast, well, extending or branching out in my podcast, not only to be sitting here in this little room talking to you guys, but make it a bit more interactive. And I could be riding a motorcycle and kind of doing like a moto vlog. But it's kind of like we kind of talk about things in a less formal way, I guess. So I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be awesome. So as I'm riding, you guys will be riding with me, and we'll be just talking to one another. Obviously not live. You'll be listening to me, really. You can talk to the recording if you want, but it's up to you, and I don't judge you at all. But in the future, I do hope to do something like that. So I'm just waiting for a few pieces. I do have to mod out my helmet a bit more to allow for that. But that is one of the plans that I have. Now, into the episode today, episode 7, like I said before. Alexandria OcasioCortez, the beacon of hope from the left. Now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she has admittedly grown and built such a following, and she is in a way, what's the word I'm looking for? Not excited, but invigorated. That's the word. She has invigorated the Democrat Party with youth, with new ideas. And the Democrat Party are rallying behind her. But it's not to say that they're all of the same mind and they're all rallying behind her. She does ruffle the feathers of some of the old timers in the Democrat Party, such as Nancy Pelosi and the likes. The Green New Deal has caused schisms within the party and has, the older generation who is, less inclined to branch out to such progressive, even though they may want to do that internally, they just know it's not good for, optics. It doesn't look very good to branch out so far left to say, hey, let's get rid of planes. Hey, let's get rid of cars. That's very extreme, folks. Very extreme, very short-sighted, although many may disagree with me. That sort of thing, that will get President Trump elected again. And he doesn't need the help, but he'll use the help. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, we'll call her AOC for the duration of this show. AOC has, run her campaign. She won her race in New York. And she has a Bernie-esque vibe to her. Condemning dark money in elections, trying to hold that moral standard for the party. But despite her, I guess now we can say theatrics, some very disturbing and interesting news has come out about her campaign, and her chief of staff. His name is Chakrabarti. Now, I'm usually not good at remembering names, but this time you guys got to forgive me, because even if I was to say it again, I'll probably mess it up. Chakrabarti. That's her chief of staff. And basically what happened, for those of you who haven't been paying too much attention or keeping current with the events, basically what happened is that $885,000 of campaign donations into her campaign, they were moved to a PAC, which is a political action committee. They were moved into a PAC that receives donations for political purposes. And from that PAC, they went into an LLC called the Brand New Congress that was created by my friend Chak. We'll call him Chak, AOC's chief of staff. And the issue with that is that PACs and LLCs, the limited liability companies, they are governed in different ways. They are not subject to the same laws of disclosure. In a PAC, you must very carefully disclose the donations that you receive, the spending that you do with that money. Whereas LLC, created by our chief of staff, it's more shadowed. The onus to disclose is not how can I say this? Not as monitored or policed as a PAC. So for someone like AOC to run her campaign on transparency, getting rid of dark money and being up close and full disclosure, this is very interesting and it's very telling. And she obviously denies that nothing transpired and everything's fine and dandy. That's what she's alleging, and she's disputing any argument against that. But it's interesting because the agency that looked into this, just stand by. Let me get that name for you. The National Legal and Policy Center. It is a right-leaning group, admittedly, and they are upfront about that. However, despite that, there is facts and there is evidence to reinforce their allegations against AOC and her chief of staff. So they have made an FEC complaint, and it will be looked into. There is agreement on both sides that there factually is an issue, a conflict of interest that arises from these shifty transactions of donations into an LLC. No receipts were kept. There's no record or paper trail as to what this money was used on, or who provided the money, or where it was spent. You know what I'm saying? So it's not transparent. It's absolutely the opposite of what AOC is trying to portray. So that's very interesting. But not even a week, I believe, before this whole thing with AOC, there was Mayor Bill de Blasio and his wife, Chirlane McCray. They have $900 million that vanished out of thin air. There's no trace of this money. Now, Chirlane McCray, she was put in charge of this organization, this idea called ThriveNYC. ThriveNYC was supposed to be an organization that is to look after those who are disenfranchised, the mentally ill, the homeless, those disenfranchised communities in New York City, to try to get them on their feet, to rehabilitate them, to get them in a better place. That was the goal of ThriveNYC, run and headed by Chirlane McCray, Bill de Blasio's wife. And, after about 4 years of this program running, there's no sign of the money. There's no sign of whether it was successful. There's no sign of what the money was spent on. There's no sign. There's nothing. And, it's just interesting. This is taxpayer money. You know what I'm saying? This is taxpayer money. This is money that was taken from, working people and these, elites of society. Chirlane McCray wasn't even elected. Her husband was, and for her to be in charge of that much money and there not being any trail, it's interesting. And it's indefensible, really. And it makes me think of the whole hunt for wrongdoing on behalf of the president of the United States. You look at I can just picture these guys now. They're looking at Trump. Oh, look at him over there. Yeah, look at him. Oh. And then someone says to him, Chirlane McCray, $900 million, it's gone out of thin air. No, shh. Looking at Trump. Someone else comes, AOC, and the chief of staff, they, shiftily moved $885,000 into a slush fund, into an LLC. So now, no one knows, and they have no onus to disclose what the money was used for or how it was spent. Oh, shh, Trump. Oh, Trump, he just got 2 scoops of ice cream instead of 1. Red alert, everybody, breaking news. So that's what it feels like. There's so much corruption that has been brought to light. There's so much corruption in politics as it is, but because people are not devoted to justice, instead of justice, they're devoted to social justice. Instead of justice, they're devoted to politics and winning and animosity and a coup against the president. It's just crazy to me, especially someone looking from the outside. It's crazy. So yeah, I think I'll leave you guys with that. Thanks for stopping by. Definitely look at the things that I'm talking about today. Go check out AOC and her chief of staff and the $885,000 that has been moved from a PAC to an LLC. Very, very interesting. And when you understand the differences between a PAC and an LLC, you can pinpoint and you can make a educated assumption on the intent behind that transaction of finances. Look at the story of Bill de Blasio's wife, Chirlane McCray, and, ThriveNYC, the program that she was headed, and the money, $900 million that, no one knows where it is or what was spent on. Check that out. Look at everything that I'm telling you guys. Obviously, don't take it blindly, because I'm like yourself. I'm learning, and we're all learning together. And the important thing, folks, is information and knowledge and study and self-awareness and being informed. You must be informed, right? So I don't expect you to take what I'm saying and have your opinion formed on that. I want you to take what I'm saying, correct me where I'm wrong. Do research on your own, and we can all come to an objective truth and an objective fact, just based on the facts. All right. So thanks again, guys, for tuning in to another episode. This is episode 7. Next week, we'll come out with a new one. Thanks again for your continued support. Make it your goal to be objective. Have a good night.